if we think about the petrodollar system, right, which really was a deal cut in 1971, curiously, the same time that WEF was formed. But here's my contention. I believe the next world reserve currency won't be backed by naval superiority. It'll be backed by cyber superiority. The next war, I believe, will be fought with chips, not ships. And so that's why China is so focused on AI, 5G, chip manufacturing, advanced materials. They have 96% of all the citations in AI.
It is hardly breaking news that the established unipolar world is gradually giving way to a multipolar, one in which a few other nations, notably China and Russia, have virtually as much influence over international politics as the United States. The US hegemony over the rest of the globe actually ended a few years ago, according to some scholars. Those who maintain that the US is still the only central power, however, claim that this is mostly due to its superior military might. No matter which side of the debate you take, a global reset is unavoidably on the horizon, especially in light of the BRICS countries, China, Russia, India, and their developing ties. Since the United States and its allies spearheaded a series of sanctions against Russia for invading Ukraine in 2022, the Intergovernmental Economic Trade Association has been much more prominent in the media. 6 of the 13 countries have reportedly already submitted formal applications to join the Intergovernmental Trade Association. As of January 23, 2023, according to the South African envoy to Russia, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Egypt, and Iran are the 6 nations. The inclusion of Saudi Arabia in the tightly knit group already appears to be a done deal, and its effects, particularly on the petrodollar system, will be felt strongly in the current dynamics of the global trading system. Mark Yusko, a seasoned hedge fund manager, talks about how international politics and commerce are changing in a recent interview. The founder and managing director of Morton Creek explains that it is time for the United States to relinquish its shaky grasp on the rest of the world because it has held it for far too long. Before we start listening to Mark Yusko's interview, do take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post alerts for more content like this.
If we think about the petrodollar system, right, which really was a deal cut in 1971, curiously, the same time that WEF was formed. It's really not coincidental, right? The whole Nixon era in the U.S. So not coincidental that WEF was formed, and we cut a deal with Saudi and said, look, here's the deal. We will protect you at all costs, irregardless of what you do, to whom you do it. Even if you do it to us, we'll still protect you, as long as you price all oil-based transactions in the world in dollars. And ever since, that's what they did. And anyone who threatened that was disappeared, right?
Yeah.
So you think about Saddam Hussein said, no, I think I want to price oil in euros.
Yeah.
Vanished. Gaddafi said, I'm going to price oil in gold. Vanished. Yeah. They threatened the dollar hegemony and they were disappeared. So now suddenly we have this COVID event, which obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but clearly now looks to me like was totally manufactured. And we called the flu something else and made, I think, the greatest policy error in history globally to lock down economies. And look, and it's interesting in that what it did is it created the beginnings of solidifying this two-axis world. And look, whether it was WEF, whether it was China, it doesn't really matter in the sense that China is the huge beneficiary here, and Russia. And China and Russia basically came together on one side. The US and the West came together on the other side. Now, a lot of it has to do with the fact that 20 years ago, I make this case that tech was evolving and you had to choose. And in the United States, we chose to be awesome in social media. Like, we're great at Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. Oh, actually, that's a Chinese thing, but we're awesome at
most of them, yeah.
Right? China decided to be really awesome at 5G and AI. I'm going to argue those are more important. And so we have this developing schism, two-party world, and the lockdowns happen, and we use the dollar as a weapon, which we always have, and we impose sanctions on Iran, and we impose sanctions on Russia. And what happens? China says, you know what, Russia, we'll buy your oil, just send it here, but you have to price it in renminbi. And so things start to go downhill, and oil prices start to surge, and the administration here in the U.S. says, hey, Saudi, our friend, here's what I need. I need you to pump more oil to get the price of oil down so I can get reelected. And Saudi, for the first time, says, pound sand. Like, whoa. We cut a deal in 71, and you're supposed to do this. And I'm like, we got new friends. So now Saudi is talking to Russia, China, about selling oil to them, pricing it not in dollars. And so I think this is a monster story. Now we send massive amounts of money to Ukraine. I mean, last count, $116 billion. I mean, there are millions of kids that go to bed hungry every night in the United States, and we're sending money to Ukraine. I don't understand. So there's something about this, again, it's all about oil and gas. So ultimately, there's this conflict, and I'm not trying to minimize the conflict. There certainly is a conflict, but it hasn't escalated into World War III. It really has kind of been this de-escalated event. And to your point, almost like military theater instead of political theater, almost like military theater. And we got this Zelensky figure who's an actor, right? I mean, literally, like an actor. So we have comedians, right, who've been presidents of countries in Europe, and actors, and of course we had an actor in the United States too, Ronald Reagan. And we'll probably have one with The Rock, right, at some point. But it's an interesting dynamic. But geopolitically, the petrodollar system got cracks in it. The yuan-based system is surging. And here's my thought on that, Francis, in the sense that if you think about world reserve currencies, right, since the 1400s, they've lasted about 80-ish years. First was Portuguese, which you think, how did Portugal have the world reserve currency? Well, they had the fastest ships. And back then it was all about the Navy. And then Spain took them over. They got their trees. So they had the fastest ships. Then the Netherlands then France took them over. Then the Netherlands took them over. And then half of the Rothschilds moved to Britain, invented the steamship, and suddenly they had the most powerful Navy. And so the UK had about a 90-year run. And then we invented nuclear, and now we have the most powerful Navy. But here's my contention. I believe the next world reserve currency won't be backed by naval superiority. It'll be backed by cyber superiority. The next war, I believe, will be fought with chips, not ships. And so that's why China is so focused on AI, 5G, chip manufacturing, advanced materials. They have 96% of all the citations in AI.
In that situation, the world would merely be exchanging one dictatorship for a new one that would likely be far worse. For example, if China were to become a superpower and its currency the global reserve currency. Regarding Mark Yusko's interview, what are your thoughts? In the section below, please share your thoughts and views. Additionally, make sure you like this video by turning on post alerts and subscribing to the channel to get more content like it.